Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in life when the lights go out, when the laughter fades, when you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the person staring back at you. I've been there. I've had nights where I questioned if I could make it through the next morning. Days when the weight on my shoulders felt heavier than the world itself. Have you ever been there? Have you ever had a moment when quitting seemed easier than fighting? But let me tell you this, there was one thing, just one, that kept me moving, kept me breathing, kept me fighting through my hardest times. It wasn't money, it wasn't friends, it wasn't luck. It was a vision of who I could become if I refused to surrender. See, when life beat me down, I held on to that vision. I told myself, this pain is temporary, but the greatness I'm chasing is eternal. When I wanted to quit, that vision whispered, get up, wipe your tears, push one more time. When people doubted me, laughed at me, walked away from me, that vision stood beside me and said, I believe in you. And here's the truth, the storms didn't stop. The pain didn't vanish overnight. But because I held on to that vision, I discovered strength I never knew I had. I found courage buried deep inside. I found out that resilience is not something you're born with. It's something you build when you refuse to give up. And maybe right now, somebody listening to me is walking through their own fire. You might feel broken. You might feel forgotten. But if you can grab hold of just one thing, your vision, your faith, your why, that one thing will carry you through the darkness. Because the hardest times are not here to destroy you. They are here to shape you, to mold you, to prepare you for what's waiting on the other side. So hold on to your vision, hold on to your dream, because that one thing can be the difference between giving up and rising up. There is not a single person in this room, not a single soul breathing on this planet, who has not faced a season where life seemed heavier than they could carry. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, or what you own. Storms have a way of finding us all. They don't knock on the door to ask if you're ready. They just show up. Suddenly, the life you thought you had under control begins to unravel in front of your eyes. Maybe for some of you, it was a loss. The loss of someone you loved, someone you thought would always be there. And when they left, whether by choice or by life itself, it felt like a part of you was ripped away. You woke up in the morning, but the world felt dimmer, quieter, emptier. That pain was not just emotional, it was physical. It lived in your chest, in your breath, in your bones. For others, maybe it wasn't a person you lost, maybe it was a dream, a vision you carried for years, only to watch it collapse right in front of you. You tried, you gave it everything you had, but the outcome wasn't what you expected. And you stood there, staring at the wreckage of your efforts, wondering, why me? Why now? Why this? And some of you know the storm of failure all too well. You worked, you sacrificed, you poured your heart into something only to hear no, only to be rejected, only to fall flat on your face when you thought you were about to rise. And in that moment, it wasn't just the failure that hurt. It was the echo of doubt inside your mind telling you, maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you'll never make it. Let's be honest, struggle does not come alone. It doesn't just bring one problem. It brings a flood. It's the bills piling up, the phone calls you're avoiding, the sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, the quiet tears no one sees. It's feeling like the world is moving on without you while you're stuck fighting battles nobody else even knows you're in. And here's the hardest part in those seasons. You can feel invisible. People around you smile, laugh, and keep moving, and you wonder if anyone can even see the weight you're carrying. You put on a brave face, but inside you're screaming for relief, for somebody to notice, for somebody to understand. Struggle is universal. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care about your age, your background, or your status. The storm comes for the rich, for the poor, for the young, for the old. And when it hits, it doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't come with a warning. It just comes. And when it comes, it tests everything inside you. But here's what's real: those seasons, as unbearable as they feel, are part of the human experience. They remind us that we are alive. They remind us that no matter how polished someone looks on the outside, behind every smile there's a story. Behind every strong person there's a struggle. And behind every victory there was once a season where life felt almost impossible to bear. When you are in the middle of the storm, when life has knocked the wind out of your lungs, the thought of quitting will always come knocking. And let's be honest, quitting doesn't just come as a whisper. Sometimes it shouts. It tells you, why fight anymore? Why keep pushing when everything you do keeps falling apart? It seduces you with the idea of rest, of relief, of escape from the pain you're carrying. There are moments when quitting feels like the only logical choice. You've poured out your energy, your resources, your faith, and still the breakthrough hasn't come. You're tired of praying, tired of trying, tired of smiling in public while crying in private. And in those moments, quitting doesn't look like weakness. It looks like freedom. Freedom from the constant pressure, freedom from the disappointment, freedom from the endless struggle that seems to have no finish line. And quitting has a way of disguising itself. It doesn't always mean throwing everything away in one big dramatic moment. Sometimes quitting looks like shrinking your dreams. Sometimes it looks like telling yourself, maybe I don't really want this. Sometimes it's settling for less than you know you're capable of because you're afraid of another failure. Quitting doesn't always scream. Sometimes it slides in quietly, convincing you to play small, to stop trying, to stop reaching. You know that feeling when you've been rejected over and over again, and you start believing the lies in your head. That maybe they're right. Maybe you're not smart enough. Maybe you don't have what it takes. That's when quitting feels like the safe option, the painless option. Why keep risking heartbreak when you can just walk away and convince yourself you never really wanted it in the first place? And let's not pretend that the weight of other people's opinions doesn't feed into this. When those around you doubt you, laugh at you, or tell you to be realistic, quitting begins to sound rational. Their voices blend with the doubt in your own head, and suddenly giving up feels like common sense instead of surrender. That is the battle inside the darkest moments, not just fighting the storm outside, but silencing the storm inside. I know what it's like to sit on the edge of your bed, staring at the floor, knowing you've got responsibilities, but feeling no strength to move. I know what it's like to have opportunities in front of you, but feel paralyzed by fear and failure. In those moments, quitting feels like a relief button you wish you could press. And if we're honest, many people do press it. Many people stop in the middle of their journey, not because they couldn't make it, but because quitting felt easier than continuing. But here's the dangerous part: every time quitting feels easier, every time you give in, you train yourself to run from the fight instead of rising in it. Quitting becomes a habit. And a habit of quitting is one of the most destructive patterns a person can develop. It keeps you from ever knowing how strong you really are. It robs you of the victory that might have been just one more step away. The truth is, the temptation to quit is universal. It's not a sign of weakness that you feel it. It's a sign that you're human. But it's in those darkest moments, when quitting seems like the most comfortable option, that your decision matters the most. Because that choice, to stop or to fight, determines not only your future, but the story you'll tell yourself for the rest of your life. There are moments in life when you realize that money can't fix what's broken inside of you. You could have a full bank account, but if your heart is empty, if your spirit is crushed, money won't heal that pain. Money can buy comfort, but it cannot buy peace. Money can put a roof over your head, but it cannot silence the storm raging in your mind at 3 in the morning. There are problems that no amount of wealth can solve, and many of us only learn that truth in the middle of our darkest seasons. And then there's luck. Some people live waiting for that one lucky break, that one perfect moment when the stars align and everything falls into place. But when you're going through your hardest times, luck is nowhere to be found. You can't flip a coin and wish your problems away. You can't roll the dice and hope the struggle disappears. The truth is, luck is unpredictable. You can't build your survival on something that's temporary and unreliable. And let's talk about people. We all want someone to lean on when the nights get long and the burdens get heavy. And sometimes we do have people who care, people who try to understand. But even the people who love you the most can't always carry you through your darkest hours. Not because they don't want to, but because there are battles that only you can fight. There are storms that only you can walk through. The people around you can encourage you. They can pray for you. They can cheer for you. But they cannot climb inside your heart and fight that war for you. There are times when the very people you expected to stand by your side suddenly disappear. The calls stop coming. The support vanishes. And it hurts because you thought they'd be there. You thought they'd understand. But when the pressure builds, some people walk away, not out of malice, but out of their own limitations. And that's when you realize you cannot place the weight of your survival on anyone else's shoulders. It's a hard truth to accept. We live in a world where we're taught that success is about connections, about who you know, about who's willing to help you. And yes, relationships matter. But when the night is dark and your spirit is crushed, no connection in the world can make you believe in yourself. No connection can breathe life into your broken dreams. That's something only you can do. Even if you are surrounded by people, you can feel utterly alone when you're fighting your hardest battles. You can sit in a crowded room and feel like nobody sees you. You can hear words of encouragement, but still feel like no one truly understands. And in that loneliness, you realize that even with people around you, this journey is yours. This fight is personal. It's not that money, luck, or people don't matter. They do. They can make the journey lighter. They can make the road a little easier. But when it comes to surviving the deepest valleys of your life, they cannot be your foundation. If you lean too heavily on them, you'll crumble the moment they fail you. And they will fail you not because they are bad, but because they are human. So in your hardest times, you learn to stand on something deeper. You learn that the real strength to keep going cannot come from what you have, from chance, or from who is beside you. It has to come from within, from a place that no amount of money, luck, or even love can replace. That realization is painful, but it is also powerful because it forces you to stop searching outside and start searching inside. When life backs you into a corner, you will discover something powerful no external force can carry you through unless you find a reason inside yourself to keep moving. You can have support, encouragement, even resources, but if you don't ignite that fire within, all of it will fade away. Because real strength, the kind that keeps you alive in your darkest nights, is not something people hand to you. It's something you build from within. Inside every person, there is a place where resilience is born. It doesn't come from books, from speeches, or from applause. It comes from that quiet voice inside that says, "Not yet. I'm not done. I will not stop here." That inner voice is the one thing that can sustain you when everything around you feels broken. Because when you dig deep enough, you'll find a power that you didn't even know you had. Think about this. There are people who had nothing, no money, no family support, no safety net, and yet they rose. They rose because they tapped into something within themselves that refused to give up. And then there are others who had everything, wealth, influence, people cheering for them, but they still crumbled when life got hard. Why? Because they never learned to stand on their own inner foundation. The truth is, storms reveal what's inside you. Anyone can smile when life is easy. Anyone can be strong when the sun is shining. But when the sky turns dark, when the nights stretch long, that's when you find out what you're really made of. And if there's nothing inside to hold on to, the storm will sweep you away. That's why the one thing that sustains you must come from within. And let's be real, that inner strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's not a loud declaration. Sometimes it's just a whisper that says, one more day, one more step, don't quit yet. People think strength is about being fearless, but the truth is, inner strength is about continuing even while you're afraid. It's about moving forward even when every part of you wants to turn back. No one else can give you your why. They can inspire you, they can push you, they can encourage you, but your why has to come from within. Because when life strips everything else away, when people walk out and resources dry up, the only thing left standing with you will be that reason you carry inside. That reason becomes your anchor. That reason becomes your fuel. And here's what makes it powerful once you discover that inner source. No one can take it from you. People can abandon you. Circumstances can fail you, but your inner fire belongs only to you. And when you learn to protect it, to feed it, to trust it, you become unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. So when the nights are long and the pain is heavy, don't just look outside for answers. Look within. Because the one thing that will truly sustain you through your hardest times isn't what you hold in your hands. It's what you hold in your heart. When life hits you with setbacks, pain, and disappointment, the easiest thing to do is to collapse under the weight of it all. But the people who rise, the ones who keep moving forward in spite of everything, are not the ones with the easiest path. They are the ones with the clearest vision. Because when you know who you want to become, that vision becomes the compass that points you forward. Even when the road is filled with obstacles. A clear vision is like a lighthouse in the middle of a storm. The waves crash, the winds howl, and the sky is pitch black. But that light keeps shining. It doesn't stop the storm, but it reminds you where you're going. Without a vision, you're tossed around, lost, drifting with no direction. But with a vision, no matter how dark it gets, you always have a reason to keep pushing through. Think about it. When you wake up every day without a vision, the smallest setback can break you. A rejection, a failure, a bad day. It all feels like the end. But when you have a vision of the person you're becoming, setbacks don't destroy you. They shape you. They become lessons. They become part of the process. Your vision gives meaning to the pain. And when pain has meaning, you can endure it. And let's be real, life will test your vision. It will throw distractions at you, temptations to settle, shortcuts that lead nowhere. And if your vision isn't clear, you'll fall for every one of them. But when you can see clearly who you want to be, when that picture is burned into your heart, you'll recognize the distractions for what they are. Detours, not destinations. Vision is powerful because it pulls you forward even when your strength runs out. There are days when your body is tired, your mind is weary, and you don't feel like moving another step. But vision whispers is not the end. Keep going. There's more waiting for you on the other side. Vision turns exhaustion into perseverance. It turns fear into courage. It turns despair into determination. And here's the truth: your vision doesn't have to be big to be powerful. For some, it's the vision of being a provider for their family. For others, it's the vision of breaking a cycle, rewriting a legacy, proving that their story doesn't have to end the way it began. Whatever your vision is, if it's clear enough, it will give you the strength to endure what would have otherwise crushed you. There's something unstoppable about a person who knows where they're going. They may stumble, they may fall, they may cry, but they will not quit because their eyes are fixed on the future, and their heart refuses to settle for less than what they know they were meant to be. Vision doesn't eliminate pain, but it makes the pain worth it. So if you want resilience, if you want to survive the storm and come out stronger, don't just focus on what you're going through. Focus on where you're going to. Hold that picture in your mind. Guard it, feed it, protect it, because that vision of who you want to become will give you the strength to rise, even when everything in you wants to fall. Pain without purpose feels unbearable. When you're going through something and you don't know why, when the suffering seems random, senseless, and cruel, that's when despair creeps in. But the moment you connect your pain to your vision, everything changes. The pain doesn't vanish, but it gains meaning. Suddenly, you're not just hurting for nothing. You're hurting on the way to becoming someone greater. Every struggle you face can either feel like punishment or preparation, and the difference comes down to whether or not you have a vision to hold on to. Without vision, pain feels like an endless cycle of misery, but with vision, pain feels like a tool, a teacher, a refining fire shaping you into the person you're meant to be. Think about athletes. They push their bodies to the limit. They endure aches, injuries, and exhaustion, but they don't see it as pointless suffering. They see it as part of the process because their vision is set on the finish line, the medal, the victory. The pain has purpose because it's carrying them towards something bigger. In the same way, your life's hardships take on new meaning when they're connected to your vision of who you want to become. And here's the beauty of it: pain has a way of sharpening your vision. It strips away the distractions, the unnecessary, the superficial. When you're hurting, you stop caring about things that don't matter, and you start focusing on what truly does. Pain forces you to ask, what am I really living for? What's worth this struggle? And when you find that answer, you find strength. But you have to choose to hold on, because pain will try to convince you to let go of your vision. It will whisper, this isn't worth it. You can't handle this. Give up. And if you don't keep your vision in front of you, the pain will break you. But if you do, the pain will build you. That's the power of connecting pain to purpose. It transforms suffering into fuel. You may not control the pain, but you control the meaning you attach to it. You can choose to see your struggles as evidence that you're cursed, or you can choose to see them as evidence that you're being shaped for something greater. That choice determines whether you collapse under the weight of your pain or rise stronger because of it. The people who inspire us most are not the ones who had easy lives. They are the ones who suffered deeply but refused to let the suffering be wasted. They turned their heartbreak into wisdom, their failures into stepping stones, their scars into stories that light the way for others. And the reason they could do that is because they had a vision that made the pain worth enduring. So when the nights feel endless, when the hurt feels too heavy, remember this: your pain has a purpose when it's tied to your vision. It's not here to destroy you. It's here to prepare you. And if you can hold on to that vision long enough, the day will come when you'll look back and realize that every ounce of pain was molding you into the person you were always meant to be. Resilience is not something you're born with. Nobody comes into this world ready to face heartbreak, failure, and disappointment. When you see someone who's unshakable, someone who can take a hit and keep moving, understand this: they weren't born that way. That toughness was forged. That strength was built. And it wasn't built in comfort. It was built in the fire of hardship. Hardship has a way of introducing you to parts of yourself you never knew existed. You don't learn how strong you are when life is easy. You don't learn how much you can endure when everything is going your way. No, resilience is born when you're staring at obstacles bigger than you, when you're standing in the middle of storms that should have broken you, but didn't. Think about a muscle. If you never put it under pressure, it never grows. If you never push it beyond its limits, it never develops strength. In the same way, your resilience is a muscle. Every setback, every failure, every trial is resistance, and with each push against it, you grow stronger. You may not see it in the moment, but every battle you survive is shaping you into someone tougher, wiser, and more unshakable than before. And let's be real, nobody likes hardship. Nobody asks for pain, rejection, or failure. But if you look at your life closely, you'll realize that the qualities you admire most in yourself were born out of struggle. Your patience came from waiting through seasons of uncertainty. Your courage came from facing situations that terrified you. Your wisdom came from the mistakes you thought would ruin you. Resilience doesn't appear in comfort, it appears in chaos. What's powerful about resilience is that once you build it, it becomes part of you. You carry it into every new challenge. The same way a scar reminds you of what you've survived, resilience reminds you that no matter what comes next, you've faced battles before and you can face them again. That memory of survival is what keeps you from collapsing when new storms rise. But resilience is not built overnight. It's not the product of one struggle. It's the accumulation of many. Every small victory over hardship becomes a brick in the foundation of your strength. And the more you endure, the more unshakable that foundation becomes. That's why some people seem unbreakable. It's not because they never felt pain. It's because they've learned to rise from it again and again. Resilience is also contagious. When people see you stand strong in the face of trials, it gives them courage to do the same. Your resilience becomes a light, a testimony that hardship doesn't have to destroy you. You become living proof that struggle can shape greatness. And that proof doesn't come from theory. It comes from experience, from scars, from battles you fought and survived. So if you're in the fire right now, if you feel like life is breaking you down, remember this: the fire is not there to consume you. It's there to forge you. It's there to build resilience in you that comfort never could. Because resilience is not natural, it's built. And every hardship is a hammer shaping you into the person who can carry the weight of the destiny waiting for you.